Working in a newsroom, we get calls all the time from people who have a question or want to share a story, like this one. Have a listen.
Hi there. I just wanted to say that this morning, I think I found a World War II landmine out at the dike in Redhead. I called the police, and I do believe they're now waiting for Gagetown to send someone down before the tide comes in.
That's Janet Dingwell. If you Google photos of World War II landmines, like this one, and you compare it to a photo of the one that Janet found on the beach, it does look like one. But when we talked, she still hadn't heard exactly what it was. Now, most people who walk on a beach probably wouldn't have an eye out for explosives, but there's a reason Janet had her eyes peeled. A story from her childhood. She says her sister Julie Dingwell tells it best.
So this is the beach I grew up on in Redhead, and a couple of times a year there's very low tides, like super low tides. And so that's what happened one day late spring. I remember it being a nice day because we were wearing shorts and stuff. I'm thinking this was 1967. I would have been 10, and my brother would have been 13, and his friend would have been 13. And the tide was way, way out. And my brother said, "Look at that great big ball out there. Let's go see it." And so we all ran out thinking, like, what is this? We've never seen anything like this. And we get out there, and there's this massive steel ball with bumps all over it. So my brother said, "Go get the wagon. We're going to bring this home to Dad." So he and the friend started rolling it in from way out, and they had to roll that all the way to the beach.
Julie Dingwell says she ran and got the wagon and brought it to the beach. The big ball only fit on top, so she says 4 of them had to hold it on, bouncing along the bumpy dirt road home.
And then we went into the subdivision, and we're just going up the road, and we're just turning into my road. And my dad came out of the garage, and he said, "What do you got there?" And Dawn said, "We found this for you at the beach, Dad." And he looked and he said, "Get in the house, get in the house, lay on the floor, lay on the floor." We had no idea what he was talking about. And he was saying, "You're going to blow up, the whole neighborhood's going to blow up, the whole neighborhood's going to blow up." And we were just like, we didn't know what was happening. But as it turns out, that was a mine.
And it turns out a team from Gagetown still responds to calls like the one from the Dingwell's dad. Master Warrant Officer Jeff Allard is the senior ammo tech at CFB Gagetown. He says they get 20 to 30 calls a year about suspicious items. Sometimes it's from relatives cleaning out the basement or garage of a family member who served in a war. But items can be found all over the place.
We find items that are just all over can be located anywhere. It's just because training for the wars took place in towns, in local fields, and everywhere. And it's just as time has gone on, either items have lifted up to the surface, or people are digging in their backyards to put in a fence and have found items that have been sitting dormant.
Allard says he's gotten some strange calls over the years, once to the town dump, another time to a cemetery.
When we arrived, there was a projectile that had been put by one of the headstones. And that projectile turned out to go to one of the German Panzer tanks. And I think, honestly, it was probably one of the strangest items and locations that I ever responded to a call at.
And that's what happens to items Allard and his team pick up. They're all stored in a warehouse until they can be taken to a range area and blown up. Allard says detonating things is a way for technicians to keep up their skills. And that thing Janet Dingwell found on the beach? Allard says police were concerned given the history of the area, and although he studied the photos they sent and figured it probably wasn't a mine, he sent a team just to be sure. Turns out it wasn't dangerous. It was an old propane tank buried in the sand with just the top showing.